This is a test of the emergency punk rock system. This channel is conducting a test of the emergency punk rock system. This is only a test. This has been a test of the emergency punk rock system. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have heard the following. Sorry. I couldn't help myself with that one. It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, no excuses. Sometimes I don't feel like recording much. It's very much me. I could go a week and not even bother being interested in putting anything out there. It's been a couple of months now. I'm in a good place right now. So, with that, I'll give you the reason why I'm recording this. And if I could, let me grab the spatula you saw earlier. It's not because of this. It is because of this. A friend sent me a Christmas present. That's what this is. His gift to me. It is a nice little set, if you will, of hobby knives. All sorts of blades and sharp goodies. When I first opened this, knowing who it came from, I decided to embark on a journey that I have not even contemplated in 40 years. You see, my friend Andy, aka the Monkey Wrench, some of you may know him. Is an avid model maker. He does everything from little slot cars that are about the size of your matchbook car, Hot Wheels that size, to amazing replicas of World War II aircraft and tanks and that kind of thing. And he is even a member of his local model railroad club. That's just what he does. That's what he does to relax and enjoy and create. And he inspired me with a simple gift. Now, as I've said, it's been years, decades since I've even thought of this. But back in the day, I made a few models, but they weren't that, that kind of professional level. It was just, hey, this is cool from a toy store. I'll put that together. It looks kind of neat. So I get this little gift in the mail, and about a week later, I'm thinking, what do I do with this? And that's when I remember how much I used to enjoy putting models and making things like that in the past. So I go to a local hobby store and I collect a few things. And not just a few things. In this whole video, if it's boring to you, go away. Because I'm going to give you a little piece by piece list of what I bought day one after getting that set of knives. Now, the first thing I thought of was, okay, you need your glue. Got to put the model together, you need glue. That was this guy, right here. A suggestion from the man himself was to get the liquid type. It brushes on with a very small brush similar to that of nail polish. That was the first thing. The second thing was all the colors that you want to paint whatever it is that you're going to make. I didn't know what I was going to make at the time. I'm there in the hobby aisle of the store. But I saw some colors that I really liked, and that's this little box right here. For those of you who know, this company is very famous in the hobby world. And you see the colors. Some of them are flat, some of them are gloss. The thing that attracted my attention was this purple color right here. Take note of that. That comes into play in just a few minutes. So after the paint comes the brushes. Obviously, what are you going to put your paint on with? And that would be the beginner starter set. You know, a little bit of each size. Yep. And then I remembered sometimes there are a few smaller details that you would like to brush. That's when I found a package of these. Alright? They're basically almost like a Q-tip. Plastic with a little foam bit at the top. You can use them not only for very small detailed brushing, but putting on decals, that kind of thing. Stirring paint. I thought that was a good idea. Now, even with all the colors that paint kit involved, I thought of a few other things. One was a color that I thought would go great with a car, with the engine, with the underbody, with all those details. And you can't see the color very well, but it's called gunmetal gray. It's not a flat gray, but it's got a little bit of shine to it. So, you know, engine parts, that kind of thing. Now, the other thing I also thought about was, you know, when you're cleaning off your brushes, what do you use? Well, a couple of these. Little jars of paint thinner. Clean your brush. That kind of thing. Got a few of those. And one other thing I bought that day. And I wasn't thinking about it particularly, but I only have very limited space in this apartment. So I had to think of a way to transform the small TV tray tables that I have into workable spaces. Something to coat them with, something to put on them so that when I'm working, things don't roll all over the place, I don't get paint on them, all of that. That's when these came into play. Looks like a sheet of plastic. There are 4 of them in a set. They're cutting boards. There's those slimline cutting boards that they sell at Walmart and, oddly enough, at Hobby Lobby. They've got a no-stick side on here and an anti-cut side on there. Now, between my first little buying trip and the second, I watched a few videos. And one of the tips that one of the hobbyists on YouTube gave me was something like that. It was very similar. You might go to a craft store and you see when they roll out the big sheets of material, they have the grid work on the table. Well, they sell, boards like that so that you can put it down on the table and see sizes and dimensions. And it's also an anti-cut surface so that you can slice and cut into it, and it doesn't really affect it. So here I am thinking, okay, I got 3 or 4 of those tables. I got 3 or 4 of those. I could do whatever it is that I choose to build. Now, I did buy the model that day, but I'm saving that. Because a week goes by and I realize I need a few more things. And I asked Andy for a little bit of advice based on what I had already bought. And I told him I need some spray primer. Because there's a big body of a car sitting there and you want to make sure that the paint coats right. And I know I need some spray paint, like a good color for the whole body of the vehicle that I've chosen to assemble. So today, Walmart picked up some primer, gray. Gray, thinking that, when you think of a car, maybe I could just keep the bottom part where all the mufflers are and everything and all of that, just gray. I don't need to paint it. You look at a car and there's a certain level of, this is where the brilliance happens and that's the underbelly. Well, gray primer will be the same regardless. Again, this is coming from a guy who hasn't done this for a while, so that's just my thinking. Now, this goes back to that purple color that I told you I bought that first time around. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a purple color right there. I thought it's kind of a creamy, lower quality purple. That'd be great for the interior of a car. If this was the exterior color. It's a nice darker purple if you can't tell. So here I am thinking, okay, I've got an exterior color. I've got a creamy, lighter colored, almost white purple for the interior. Alright, I got a couple other things that I've noticed when I was watching some videos on YouTube. Now, if you haven't assembled a model before, sometimes they have transfers, decals, that kind of thing. You soak a strip in water, little plastic bit comes off, you need to put it right on the model, just right. Certain details, a license plate, a dashboard detail. So, tweezers, a couple different sizes. Nice little pack. I bought that today. Next up, when it comes to, when you buy a model, it all comes on a plastic frame. There's a certain term for that. Forgive me for being the newbie. I know there's a term, but you need something to cut those little plastic pieces off that whole frame that all the pieces come in. That's when you get these. Any extra little bits of plastic, you sort of slice off with that knife. Or that set that's sitting right over there. The last little bit of advice was, sometimes after you've made that little cut, or you've glued a piece together, you see a little bit of, I think it's called flash, when the plastic mold happens, there's a tiny little bump. You can't, on the plastic piece, you can't really, cut it off. You can't really, flick it off with your finger, whatever it is. Well, that's when you get some of this. And for those of you out there who are familiar with ladies who love to do their fingers, their nails, I got one of these. It's an emery board. One side's rough, one side's fine. You just do a little bit of sanding, very lightly. Part looks smooth, ready to paint. And after all of that, and all that thinking, I had to have a place to put all those little tools and tidbits and things I've just shown you. That's when I bought this. Nice little toolbox, the kind of thing you put a few extra things in under your sink. I have one under my sink for household tools. I've had one in cars before for, the simple tools you need to, get your car back on the road in the middle of the night when you just want to get a few more miles down the road. And now comes the part where I tell you what it is I will be building for the first time since I was 12. I think was the last time I made a model. And now I'm older than 50. I'll put it that way. Some of you may have been astute enough to notice a few details in the background. Other than Carl, who's still dressed for Christmas because he loves that holiday. Other than the old Styx record I have hanging out. Little reprint of their first album. Other than the Doctor Who painting just above me that was given to me by one of my nephews for Christmas. Just to the left of that, up above the turntable, it's there. And that is a car that I chose because everybody knows this car. And if I wanted to work on something for the first time in I don't know how long, I wanted it to be something that everybody would love and recognize. And if I screwed up, have you seen one of these on the road with a few dents and dings and rust? Everybody has. That would be this guy, right here. Yes. That is a 68 Volkswagen Beetle. Have you ever played Punch Buggy before? I got two older brothers. And I have a few sore spots on my arm even now. So I want to thank the Monkey Wrench for inspiring me. I have a few days off in the next few days, and I'm going to begin my journey. So I want to ask everybody out there. Do you have a hobby? Do you have something like this that you can do in your off time that doesn't serve anybody else but yourself? You might collect stamps. You might collect rocks from all the beaches you've visited in the world. You might even just collect memories. You do things for the experience. So when you're sitting around telling tales of what your life has become, you can say, oh yeah, I had a shirt once. a white t-shirt. Had this picture on it. The Newbury Comics smile face, and it was brand new. And I bought it for one purpose. So that when I went to the Guar show, I had a red shirt when it was done. Thanks for listening to this old man. Everybody out there, take it easy. If you can't take it easy, take it any way you can get.